Tiravanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 17, Punishment and Reward of Kali, text 43 and 44. We'll chant 43. Saha Eshaha Etarhi Abhyasate Asanam Parthiva Uchitam Pitamahena Upanyastam Ragya Aranyam Vivikshita Saesha Etarya Dasta Asanam Parthivochitam Pitamaheno Piyanyastam Ragyaranyam Vivikshita Saesha Etarya Jasta Asanam Parthivochitam Pitamaheno Payanyastam Ragyaranyam Vivikshita Saesha Etarya Jasta Asanam Parthivochitam Pitamaheno Panyastam Ragyaranyam Vivikshita
Saesha Etarya Jasta Asanam Parthivochitam Pitamaheno Panyastam Ragyaranyam Vivikshata Saesha Etarya Jasta Asanam Parthivochitam Pitamaheno Panyastam Ragyaranyam Vivikshita Saesha Etarya Jasta Asanam Parthivochitam Pitamaheno Panyastam Ragyaranyam Vivikshita Saesha Etarya Jasta Asanam Parthivochitam Pitamaheno Panjastam Pragyaranyam vivikshita.
Sa esha etaryadhyasta asanam parthivochitam hitamahena panyastam ragyaranyam vivikshita. Sa esha etaryadhyasta asanam parthivochitam hitamaheno panyastam pragyaranyam vivavitsata.
Saisha itaryadhyasta asanam parivitochitam pitamahena panyastam ragnarayam vivikshata. Saisha itaryadhyasta asanam parthivochitam pitamaheno panyastyatam ragyaranyam vivikshata.
Saesha itaryadhyasta asanam parthivochita pitamahenam panyastam ragyaranyam vivikshata.
Saasetar adhyasta asanam parthivot pitamahenu panyastam ragnaranyam vivikshata.
Saesha etaryadhyasta asanam parthivochitam pitamaheno panyastam ragyaranyam vivikshata.
Seishe Paradyasta Asanam Partivochitam Pitamahena Panyastam Ragnaranyam Vivikshata
Saha, he. Esha, this. Etar, he, at the present. Adhyaste is ruling over. Asanam, the throne. Partiva uchitam, just befitting a king. Pitamahena, by the grandfather. Upanyastam, being handed over. Ragya, by the king. Aranyam, forest. Vivikshita, desiring. We'll read the word meanings for the second verse also. Aste is there. Aduna, at present. Saha, that Raja Rishihi, the sage amongst the kings, Kaurava Indra, the chief amongst the Kuru kings, Shriya, glorious, with the sun spreading, Kajavaye, in Hastinapur, Mahabhagaha, the most fortunate, Chakravarti, the emperor, Brihadshravaha, highly famous. Translation. The most fortunate emperor, Maharaj Parikshit, who was entrusted with the kingdom of Hastinapur by Maharaj Yudhisthira when he desired to retire to the forest, is now ruling the world with great success due to his being glorified by the deeds of the kings of the Kuru dynasty. So, who has a microphone? Read the purport.
The prolonged sacrificial ceremonies undertaken by the sages of Namasharanya were begun shortly after the demise of Maharaj Parikshit. The sacrifice was to continue for 1,000 years, and it is understood that in the beginning, some of the contemporaries of Baladev, the elder brother of Lord Krishna, also visited the sacrificial place. According to some authorities, the present tense is also used to indicate the nearest margin of time from the past. In that sense, the present tense is applied to the reign of Maharaj Parikshit here. For a continuous fact, also, present tense can be used. The principles of Maharaj Parikshit can be still continued, and human society can still be improved if there is determination by the authorities. We can still purge out from the state all the activities of immorality introduced by the personality of Kali if we are determined to take action like Maharaj Parikshit. He allotted some place for Kali, but in fact Kali could not find such places in the world at all, because Maharaj Parikshit was strictly vigilant to see that there was no places for gambling, drinking, prostitution, and animal slaughter. Modern administrators want to banish corruption from the state, but fools as they are, they do not know how to do it. They want to issue licenses for gambling houses, wine and other intoxicating drug houses, brothels, hotel prostitution and cinema houses, and falsity in every dealing, even in their own, and they want at the same time to drive out corruption from the state. They want the kingdom of God without God consciousness. How can it be possible to adjust two contradictory matters? If we want to drive out corruption from the state, we must first of all organize society to accept the principles of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. And to make the condition favorable, we must close all places of gambling, drinking, prostitution, and falsity. These are some of the practical lessons from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Seisha etarya yasta asanam partivochitam tamahino payanyastam ragiranyam vivikshata astedunad sarajarshi Gauravendra Shriyolasan Kajavaye Mahabhagas Chakravarti Brihadshravaha. So Pitamaha in this reference refers to Maharaj Yudhisthira, the grandfather of Parikshit. Normally, the system of succession is that when the king retires, his eldest son becomes the next king. That was the normal procedure. Because generally the eldest son, learning from his father, coming from a dynasty, would have all the good qualities to be ruling. In this particular case, however, there was no son. that was eligible to take the throne after Yudhishthira Maharaj. Who could he turn over the kingdom to? His sons were all killed in the battle of Kurukshetra. So there was no son there. And as far as the other Pandavas, Ghatotkacha was killed. He's the son of Bhima, so he wasn't there. And his other son was killed in the battle of Kurukshetra. Then Arjuna's son was Abhimanyu, correct? Abhimanyu was his son by Subhadra. Is that correct? Subhadra is Krishna's sister and Balaram's sister. And Draupadi, she only had one son by each of the Pandavas. So the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi we know about that. Ashwatthama and company, I killed them while they were asleep. So there were no sons from Draupadi. They would have been the first to be awarded the kingdom because they were the eldest. They were annihilated. But they had other wives. Arjuna had 4 wives, and he had sons from the others. And one of his wives was Subhadra. And he was very qualified, Abhimanyu, but he was killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He didn't exist. And same thing with Nakul and Sahadev. Their sons were killed. There were no sons left. So any one of those sons would have been chosen next. There was no one. And there was not anyone left on the other side either, the Kurus. None of their sons survived. They were all killed. So, fortunately, Abhimanyu, before he went to battle, although he was only 16 years old, the battle of Kurukshetra took place, before he went, he impregnated his wife. What was her name? Uttara. Yes. So she married Abhimanyu, and she was pregnant with his son posthumously. And that son was protected by Lord Krishna while he was in the womb, and Ashwatthama fired the Brahmastra weapon aimed at the embryo. Krishna entered the womb and protected the embryo, which was inside was Parikshit. And so Parikshit Maharaj was able to be born. Otherwise he would have been finished. His body would be finished. It was finished, but Krishna protected the soul. So he came out, and fortunately, he was completely qualified. And we went through a lot of descriptions of how he was qualified. Astrologers, different sages would come and say what he will be in the future, what his qualifications were, how auspicious his birth, everything. And now he's ruling. So the discussion is mentioned here about the present tense. So he's ruling now. That's the, let's see, where is it? He is ruling now. Srila Prabhupada says here. It is understood that in the beginning, some of the contemporaries of Baladev also visited the present tense is used to indicate the nearest margin of time from the past. So, the sacrifice of Dhammashraya took place sometime shortly after the demise of Maharaj Parikshit. It was after the demise of Maharaj Parikshit, because of being cursed by the Brahman's son, things looked grim. In fact, the age of Kali actually began when Lord Krishna disappeared. But because of the rule of Maharaj Parikshit, the age of Kali couldn't really take effect, as we heard here. His kingdom was so pious and so religious, the effects of Kali Yuga couldn't have any effect. Kali Yuga generally means quarrel, hypocrisy, short living, all the symptoms that are described for Kali Yuga, but they couldn't have any effect because Maharaj Parikshit made this world actually his kingdom, and his kingdom was the whole planet, so to speak. In fact, his grandfather ruled Jambudvip, the whole Jambudvip. If you know a little bit about Vedic cosmology, you know that Bhumandala, the greater earth, is not just the earth that we know of our 7 continents and 7 seas. It is far vaster, thousands and millions of times vaster, because our planet, which we call Bharatakanda, is only one small portion of Bharatvarsha. Bharatvarsha is only 1/9 small part, the southern part of Jambudvip. Jambudvip is a big round body of land surrounded by around a cylindrical ocean of salt water. And then there's another island landmass that circles that ocean of salt water, and then on the other side, there's the other oceans, liquor, sweet water, emulsified yogurt, milk, etc. And this goes out, and the circle of land gets bigger and bigger, each time twice as big as the one before, and it goes out. And then there's another, take that full amount, then it goes out further. So altogether, the Bhumandala has a diameter of approximately 4 billion miles. That's the diameter of this universe. So that's all described. So the king of Hastinapur was accustomed to be ruling the whole Jambudvip. And Yudhishthira Maharaj was ruling that. So he inherited the throne of his grandfather. So it was a huge body of land. And someone asked, well, how did the king travel to those places? It was so far. King had to have extraordinary powers. to be able to rule such. There were also smaller rulers who ruled, like Bhartvarsha, and then they would divide up their kingdom amongst their sons. When those kings retired, their sons would take over different parts. That's how they got the different names of the different Varshas. They were named after the king. But in this case, Yudhishthira was so qualified. And before him, there was Pandu, his father. And before him, there was Shantanu. And before that, it's a long line of kings. So Parikshit was so qualified that he even glorified his lineage, the former kings, which is practically impossible. They were so wonderful, so qualified, but Parikshit was so qualified. After all, Parikshit was the grandson of Arjuna and Yudhishthira and Krishna's sister. So Krishna's sister was the mother and then the grandmother. So the grandmother of Parikshit. Even though she lost her son, she was so heartbroken. It was devastating. The story of how she lost her son. She found out and Krishna was there, but anyway, she was so happy that at least her son's son lived by the grace of Krishna. And her son's son, Parikshit, was so glorious that she was satisfied. And all the queen, everyone, all the elders, they were pleased with him. He got all the blessings. And he knew everything, how to rule. He was called Raja Rishi. Rishi means sages, or Rajarshi. It means a king who's actually a sage also. He's as good as the sages. Prabhupada explained this several times, that Maharaj Parikshit was a pure devotee as well as Shukadeva. They could have been turned around the other way. Parikshit Maharaj could have been speaking Bhagavatam. He was so qualified. Rajarshi. So that's what we need. Prabhupada's saying here in the purport. We can also have all these wonderful attributes of the kingdom. We can have the kingdom of God. But Prabhupada says, not without God consciousness. Or as they say, you can't have the kingdom of God without God. But he says, without Krishna consciousness. So you want to have peace. That was something he really pointed out regularly amongst the new when he came to the West. Because they were having big peace rallies. So many peace rallies going on during the Vietnam War. Everyone wanted peace. They wanted peace. And peace means the kingdom of God, heaven. If we could have peace, and just imagine if we could have peace, there'd be no one killed. And not only that, let's say we could have a place where no one died. We'd say, oh, that's heaven. And no one performed any criminal acts towards anyone else. There was no greed. There was no avarice, no theft. We said, this is the kingdom of God. Everyone's in bliss. Everyone's happy. That we can have. There is that in the spiritual world, but we can even have it here. Because this is also part of the kingdom of God. This is his place too. Spiritual world is certainly his abode. But the material world is also belonging to him. And he wants his place to be as good as the spiritual sky. That's why he comes. But unfortunately, there's many incorrigibles here, souls that have been here for a long time and have no intention of changing their ways. So he still provides a place for them. But actually, any place where the principles of Krishna consciousness are followed can be as good as Vaikuntha, can be the spiritual world. And that's what Prabhupada is introducing, the ways and means how to make the material world converted back to the spiritual world. That's the whole principle of Yukta Vairagya, to engage everything in Krishna's service. And then everything becomes, again, spiritual, because everything is spiritual. In the real sense, there is nothing material. Material just means lack of Krishna consciousness. But for one who's a Mahabhagavata, he sees that everything is spiritual. So we see that so many persons have joined the Krishna consciousness movement and are practicing these principles, and their heart has completely changed, their mentality, their consciousness is totally changed. That's because of following the principles of Krishna consciousness given by Krishna. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. He can give, only God can give the principles of religion. No one else can make up a new religion. Every day so many people are starting a new religion, this religion, that religion. But there's no need for all these so-called religions. You just have to find out who God is and what his principles are, and follow it. And it works. No more slaughter. What is the use of having a slaughterhouse? It's only disgusting, only bad. So close them. And what about liquor house? There's no need for it. In a Krishna conscious environment, you won't have any liquor houses. I'll say, yeah, but what about we like to drink it. We like to have intoxication. Then you have to stay in the material world, because in the spiritual world, those things are not available. They're not necessary. They're not necessary for anyone. Prostitution houses, pornographic, everything. So all that has to be stopped. Otherwise, if we want something spiritual, if we want the kingdom of God, if we want peace of mind, people live a long time. We spend a lot of money on trying to improve this world and improve our medical treatment so that we can live a long time. In the spiritual world, they live eternally. There's no disease. There's no need for these things. These things are brought about by sinful desires and sinful activities. These are the reactions. Reactions we're getting for all these sinful activities. Means as we killed so many in the past, now we have to take birth again and again and be killed in the same way that we killed other animals. We have to become animals. People don't know how everything goes on, how everything is working. So they keep making the same mistakes again and again. And it's a pretty difficult situation. to change the direction of this world. Not easy. But through the mercy of Paramakaruna, Dvijana, Nitai Gaura Chandra, Paramakaruna, the most merciful, two personalities, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, who have risen like the sun and the moon simultaneously. Paramakaruna, Dvijana, Nitai Gaura Chandra. Beautiful song by Lochanadas Thakur. By their mercy, it's possible because Lord Chaitanya is Krishna and Lord Nityananda is Balaram. Two lords. And they've appeared in Navadvip or on this planet. And they're giving the process for transforming everyone and everything back to the spiritual world. So it's possible. And our temples, to the extent that they're purely following, they become a spiritual world where people can live in an atmosphere free from any material things. And if they do, then people, most fortunate people, will be attracted. So anything you would like to say, any questions, comments? Yes?
Our society is following these principles, and I'm just wondering what kind of historical evidence is there to show that our societies are healthier and happier and all the rest.
What's the what?
Well, I'm just thinking that we're following these principles and we're saying that it's a peace formula. So,
Peace form. Well, the other evidence, last Sunday, we had some guests come up, and I said, so this is their first time here. What was your impression? They said, very peaceful. They all said, yes, very peaceful. Young one and middle age, peaceful. But why peaceful? It has to be peaceful because if Krishna is present, if Krishna is ruling, who's going to fight with him? No one to fight with. No one can fight with Krishna. If they try, it's ridiculous. They become killed. So it's peaceful. Krishna is in control. And if we accept Krishna as the supreme leader, then it'll be peaceful. And it's true, it is. People will be happy. Why are devotees happy without? There's not one bar in any of our temples. There's not even one liquor house. How many temples we have now? 700 something. Not one liquor store. Has anyone seen a liquor store or liquor shop in any of our temples? Who's done some traveling here? How many liquor stores have you seen? How many prostitution houses? How many brothels? How many casinos? So why is that? Because they're completely unnecessary. And it's not that the devotees feel, we really got to open a casino. Things are too dry here. We got to liven things up. We got to get a casino and then a brothel. And no need. No desire. No one even thinks about it. So that's proof. What more proof do you need than that? No slaughterhouses any of our centers. So 100% no slaughterhouses, no liquor houses, no prostitution houses. And the positive thing is always decorating for Krishna, always cooking for Krishna, always thinking Krishna, dancing. Every step is a dance, every word is a song at our temples. No one speaks, they sing. Sing beautiful songs, glorifying Krishna. You had a question?
Hare Krishna, thank you for the class, Maharaj. You were mentioning the eldest son being the heir of a kingdom, and I was wondering, are there disqualifications that...
Yes, if the son is like Venu, if the son is a demon, or has demoniac qualities, or is not qualified, then he won't be chosen. It's not automatic. He still has to receive the blessings of the elders, the sages, all the Brahmins have to agree. They don't just put someone on the throne and the Brahmin said, this person has no qualification. No, they don't care. So sometimes they put another one of the sons. Of course, the sons get first consideration because of their birth. That's also not an ordinary line of blood. I mean, that's a very strong, pure line of blood that passes on heritage and karma and so many things. But if they're not qualified, then they give one of the other family members. Or in some cases, they don't even choose someone from the family. Say this family, there's nobody in here that's qualified, so they pick someone else. There's history of that in the Bhagavatam, Mahabharata. So. Yes.
Sometimes there came a question that like there was, like you mentioned, these great kings like Maharaj Yudhishthir and Maharaj Parikshit and many others, such big personalities, and people sometimes argue that nowadays we don't have such a, such a big leader, so how we can...
You don't have what?
We don't have, such a big leader, such a big personality in management.
And we have Prabhupada.
Yes, I wanted to ask you.
He's not only Maharaj, not only Raja Rishi, who knows. And he's leading us. So if we follow him, we have confidence in him, his instructions. Then, as he's created so many transcendental holy places all over the world, Krishna conscious centers, place of Krishna consciousness, they can go on expanding. So it's not like we don't have someone as qualified as Maharaj Parikshit. We do. Srila Prabhupada. Other point? Okay, thank you very much. Bhagavatam Ki Jai.